This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Once again, Checo Perez has had a difficult weekend. That's 3 in a row now. Even though he scored 4 podiums in the first 5 races, it always seems to fizzle out in this mid-season period. And unfortunately, I'm very, very concerned it's going to pan out exactly as it did last year. But with consequences more dire because everyone else is catching up. Red Bull constructors could be on the ropes. And even though Christian wants to make out it's a 2-year deal that Checo's got, it's actually more like a 1. My name's Tommo. Let's talk about it. We're here again, aren't we? Start of last season, it was looking very, very good. 2 wins apiece at one stage early on, yet things kind of fizzled out. And this season, Checo's not taken a win, but he has, started the season well. Gaps to Max haven't been great, but 4 podium finishes in those first 5 races. On the face of it, that is exactly what Red Bull need. And up until that point, perfect, really. Because you don't want someone who's getting too close to Max and getting too much on his nerves. Consistent, let him win, let him cook at the front. You do your thing, bring home podiums. Not even second place is necessary, just podiums. That's enough. Constructors, prize money, job's a good one. Yet with his P8 finish in Imola, his DNF in Monaco, which was not wholly his fault, but certainly partially his fault, and an absolute stinker in Canada. He still sits P5 in the standings, even though both Ferraris didn't score this weekend. He didn't either. All that's happened is Oscar has caught him up and Lando's extended his own gap ahead of Checo. And this is something that we've spoken about many a time last season. It's all well and good Red Bull winning the constructors when you've got Max absolutely dominating and Checo's average finishing position down the road, right? You can get away with it back then. But now, the team's performances are beginning to coalesce, be that Ferrari, be that McLaren, even Mercedes. Finally this weekend in Canada, they actually brought some pace. It's a numbers game, isn't it? Not only is Checo scoring fewer points, but he's also not taking points away from Lando, from Oscar, from Charles, from Carlos, from George, from Lewis, which is making that team more and more vulnerable in the constructors in particular. Is there a championship fight? I think there is. I think you can define this as a fight going forward. I think Max will still win. I think he'll do it probably with a couple of races to spare, but Lando and Charles and hopefully Oscar, hopefully Carlos, maybe even the Mercedes boys are going to throw a few punches as well. They might take the odd dub away from Max Verstappen, but Max's consistency, even when he didn't win in Miami, he was P2. Even when he didn't put it on pole this weekend, he still matched George Russell's time down to the 1,000th of a second. Max is doing his thing. He's the best driver in F1 right now. His class is showing. He was the differentiating factor that won him that Grand Prix in Canada, who got those 25 points for Red Bull, but that was it. No other points for the team because of Checo's absolute disaster class. Fortunately, thanks to today's video sponsor Squarespace, your online home will be anything but a disaster class. Utilise flexible website templates with options for every use and category, then customise your look, update content and add features to fit your very needs. Maybe you got an online store, maybe you want to shift some merchandise. I've used it for mine in the past and of course I will in the future. Don't worry, there is a new design coming very soon, keep it to yourself. And you can make the checkout process as seamless as you like for your customers with simple but powerful payment tools. Credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. I've been using Squarespace for years, so I'm confident in promoting them to you. It's completely free to try. It's only when you want to publish your website that you have to pay anything, and when that time inevitably comes around, head to squarespace.com/TOMMO'S to get 10% off of your very first website or domain. What must be concerning from Red Bull's point of view though, is that now these other big teams are catching up. We're not seeing a massive performance differential between Charles and Carlos. They're both able to get up there, do business at the front of the field. Same goes for Lando and Oscar. Same goes for George and Lewis, right? George might be comfortable relative to Lewis in qualifying, but in the races, Lewis's class is shining through. Those teams have all been able to facilitate both drivers to excel and get pretty close to each other and therefore the performance ceiling of their individual cars. Red Bull haven't had that since Ricciardo 2018. This isn't a problem unique to these regulations, is it? We know this is a problem that way predates the ground effect era. Gasly couldn't drive it in 2019. Albon couldn't drive it in 2020. Perez hasn't done a much better job, really. Sure, in 2021, Checo stepped up in moments and helped out, be that Turkey, be that Abu Dhabi, right? To help Max get that championship over the line. But was that because of a consistent threat from Checo against Lewis Hamilton, taking points away from Lewis to help out Max? No, not by any stretch. There were 22 races in total in the 2021 Formula One season. 16 of those 22 races resulted in Max and Checo both finishing. And their average finishing positions, Max P1.44, Checo P5.94. That's 4.5 positions different. Don't get me wrong, Bottas was a mile off Lewis as well. Neither of the second drivers really did their number ones much help that season, let's be real. And actually, when you compare that difference in positions to Gasly and Albon, I mean, what? Gasly 2019, right? 12 races, 10 of which both Verstappen and Gasly finished. Max averaged P3.5, Gasly P7.1. That's 3.6 positions different. Albon then took over for the rest of 2019. 9 races, 7 where they both finished. Verstappen averaged P3.86, Albon P6.71. 2.85 positions average difference. Then, of course, 2020, as an Albon fan, this doesn't paint Alex in a particularly good light, but that's just the way it goes, right? 17 races, 11 races in which they both finished, and their average finishing positions, Verstappen P2.46, Albon P7.91. Ouch. 5.45 positions different. I think those numbers are somewhat interesting, and I think they communicate a point that it's not just Max's bodying his teammate, that teammate is also getting bodied by loads of other people as well. And honestly, I think that is probably the best argument to keep Checo, because you take him out, there's zero guarantee anyone else would do better. Pierre, now he's a very established driver, most people would say he deserves to be in the sport. I think same goes for Alex. He's come in and really rebuilt his stock, and I feel like most people would look at Alex and Pierre and think they're two solid F1 drivers, and Checo got that seat, that Red Bull seat, on merit. He deserved that seat over Alex. Max has made them all look really silly, not just by beating them, but also they're getting beaten by loads of other people as well. And that's not on Max. Like, Max is just doing his thing. They just can't seem to extract a level of performance that even gets them on the podium with any degree of consistency. Gasly never got on the podium in the Red Bull. Alex did like twice, and the second one was very lucky because Checo's car broke down. Perez, like, his podium hit rate has been pretty shocking since that car has been the best car. If Red Bull do switch Perez out, then, well, what's to say that just doesn't happen again? I know there's a lot of talk about Carlos Sainz, yet you hear at Ferrari, you know, Charles likes a more pointy front end than Carlos, and that characteristic seems to favour Charles, yet that's exactly what Max requires from his car. So if Carlos jumps in, I don't think there's any guarantee he delivers a performance that is anywhere near Max's level. That car philosophy probably doesn't suit him either. It's like a square peg in a round hole, and obviously Max knows he's got the advantage over Checo, right? He knows he can deliver more performance. So changing it up, like risking destabilising that team somewhat. Obviously the Sainz dads historically have a bit of a friction there. So you've not only got to guarantee that whoever you bring in instead of Checo isn't just going to do what Pierre and Alex have done and what he's done, but also increase performance levels enough to justify saying goodbye to all of Checo's sponsors, which are inevitably a big part of the reason he's still in that team. Of course they are. I mean, looking at Red Bull's partner list, you've got Patron Tequila, you've got American Mobile Telecoms, which is Claro and Telcel, Interprotection Insurance Brokers, KitKat Mexico, Banorte Bank. I'm sure there's more, but those sponsors are the ones that 100%, without any shadow of a doubt, have come in through Checo and would likely leave if he was to leave. Yet he's got this deal, which seems to have closed the door to Ricciardo and seems to have closed the door to Yuki, even though Yuki's extended a Racing Bull. So it does feel like they're kind of kicking the can down the road a bit, because they haven't actually given Checo a 2-year contract. It's not a proper 2-year contract. Christian kind of let slip this weekend. Apparently it's a 1+1 deal, so it has options on probably both sides. I imagine there's certain KPIs that if Checo hits them, he will be guaranteed a second year. I imagine that's how it goes. And if he doesn't, then Red Bull would be free to terminate. Speaking to Viaplay this weekend, we decided to extend Checo for 1 more year, but in the meantime, we also wanted to exercise Yuki's option, who's doing great for VCarb at the moment. So yes, he will stay for another year. For Christian to default to calling it 1 more year, I think speaks volumes of his perspective on the contract, because then he went and clarified, well, 1 + 1 = 2, so it's a 2-year contract. Quick maths, Christian, well done. I think Christian wanted Ricciardo to jump into that Racing Bulls and hit the ground running, slap up Yuki, put himself pole position for that seat alongside Max. I think that's what Christian was hoping for. It hasn't happened. He's so talented, Yuki, just like George Russell, both liable to a mistake, and maybe that's what's holding Christian back. Lawson maybe seems like a bit of a part of this kind of internal power struggle, whatever. If he doesn't get a seat, that's just like, that's kind of bang out of order. Now it's fallen into place that, okay, they'll just give Checo an extra year, see what changes in the driver market next time out, and go from there. It's frustrating. It's sad viewing. I'm not enjoying this. Checo said he wants to finish his career at Red Bull Racing, and it would be a great place for such a long career and spent so long in kind of lower midfield machinery, finally gets in to a top team and gives him a chance to show what it's about, you know. Yet Red Bull don't seem to be able to produce a car that Max and someone else can drive. Maybe it's just Max is crazy insane, but that doesn't explain why the other driver isn't just finishing second, unless you don't think the RB20 or the RB19 is actually the greatest car of all time. And actually, Max is just so good that he's taking a very good car, but not an exceptional car, and making it look exceptional. Maybe that's it. Maybe that is, the car isn't as good as we think it is, and Max is just that good. That is certainly one explanation. But Checo has proven over the years he can hang in that upper midfield. Yet in this environment, he's had 3 full seasons now. It was good enough in 21 to get Max the title. It was good enough in 22 and 23 to get constructors, but I don't think it's good enough now. 75 races to date. P3 on average over the first 5 races this year. It's like, okay, sick, we've found something. 3 in a row. Checo's fortunate he's got the backing he has, but he's also fortunate that Ricciardo's tripping, right? He's not delivering any kind of consistent performance here. He's having the odd moment. And Yuki's he's got that moment in Bahrain, that hothead moment. I'm honestly coming to the point where I'm like, you look at who's been, since Ricciardo left, in what period has that second seat looked the best and the most cohesive and the most kind of close to Max? And I think it's Albon 2019 when he did those races, those 9 races at the end of the season. So that makes me think, you know what? F it. Chuck Liam Lawson straight into the Red Bull. He will know nothing else. It's like Oscar Piastri. You chucked him straight into the McLaren. Yes, the McLaren was dog at the start, right? But now it's improved a year and a half into Formula 1. And he's already got a sprint victory and that win's coming. You know it is. Like, he can swim. Don't give him time to learn bad habits from another team. Just lob him in the Red Bull. This is a Liam Lawson who's Red Bull and Racing Bulls reserve. He was 3rd in F2 in 22, 2nd in DTM in 21, 2nd in Super Formula in 23, and did 5 races last year in the AlphaTauri and made an incredible impression. Come on now. You keep Yuki in the Racing Bulls to keep Honda happy until they leave to Aston Martin. You keep Ricciardo in the Racing Bulls to bring Visa Cash App and all these other sponsors in. Chuck Lawson in. I honestly, hand on heart, I believe that Liam Lawson would do a better job in that Red Bull right now than Sergio Perez is. I do. Give me a reason to not believe that. Give me a light at the end of the tunnel to look at. Checo's a fantastic bloke, clearly. It hurts watching him go through this time and time again. And he's like, it feels like he's desperately trying to hold on to this seat and this dream to end his career at Red Bull. And I'm like, bro, this doesn't look fun for you. I'm not sure. Like, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. My name's Tommo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.